What's up, everybody? You guys made it to an extra late version of the Diddy trial recap, and you guys made it just of crime. Now, as always, for my people coming in on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, TikTok. If you are new here, please hit that follow button. It's something free that you can do to help creators that you like or kind of like or just tolerate. But it helps us out tremendously. And if you're already in here, you're interacting with us, just go ahead and hit it. It doesn't take you any effort. For my TikTok friends, we are almost at 10,000. We're at 6,200. Please tap that screen and get us there. And a reminder for my TikTok peeps, tomorrow is a sub live. So we will still do the recap non-sub, but then there will be a sub live after that. Now, I know a lot of you guys want to know what's going on for the Diddy stuff. So let's just go ahead and jump right into all of that. Okay. First, before court, well, let me back up a little bit. Yesterday, we talked about the fact that there was an issue going on with juror number 6. So now we have a little bit more information about this juror drama that's going on. So today, Wednesday, well, it's almost Thursday. So I'm going to say today, Wednesday, the 11th, prosecutors told the court that they want juror number 6 removed, citing what they called a quote unquote lack of candor. That's legal speak for not being fully honest during jury selection, but they didn't actually explain what he lied about. Just that there's something in his response that doesn't sit right with them. Now, to give you a little bit of background on juror number 6, he is a 41-year-old black man from the Bronx. He works at a city jail and said that he mostly reads the New York Post for his news. None of that raised any alarms at the time, but now, after further review, quote unquote, prosecutor Maureen Comey has said that there are signs that he might not have been completely truthful, but Diddy's team fired back on that. Alexandria Shapiro said that she's calling this a thinly veiled effort to dismiss a black juror. Straight up accused the prosecution of using this as a pretext to get someone off the panel that they think won't favor them. Judge Subramanian did not rule on it yet. He said he wants both sides to put their arguments in writing, and he'll make a decision by end of the week. So we have 2 more days. It could be today or Friday. If juror number 6 gets removed, there are 6 alternates ready to step in. So not an overly big deal. Now, this would be a major move mid-trial, especially when the reason is vague and race is being brought into it. So the real question is, did this jury actually mislead the court, or is the government trying to quietly reshuffle the jury dynamic? I guess we're going to find out pretty soon. And of course, I will keep you guys posted on that. Now, to kind of give you guys where we stand with Jane, she's expected to take the stand again tomorrow when court gets started. And defense attorney Tini Garagos said that she's on track to finish her cross-examination of Jane tomorrow. She also said that she will leave plenty of time for Maureen Comey, the prosecution, to question Jane on redirect and get her off the stand by EOD tomorrow so that she can catch that international flight that we have heard that she has to do. So that is where things stand at the moment. So now let's get into the trial testimony of what happened today, guys. In court, we got a glimpse into how Jane and Diddy spoke with each other behind the scenes. And let's just say the tone was very different from her testimony, right? The jury was shown a text thread from April 21st, 2023, where Jane thanked Diddy for everything he had done for her. She wrote, "I have never had a man take care of me as you do. The fact you're the reason for my child's joy is a reason I can't explain. I love you so much as my boyfriend, even though you don't like that word, you are." Then she ended with, "There's nothing I won't do for you." But there's a part that made the gallery kind of perk up on this, because we know that Diddy, we've talked about some strange nicknames that Diddy likes, right? And we have another strange nickname for Diddy. Remember, Cassie wanted, or Diddy wanted Cassie to call him the same name that she called her grandfather, Papa, okay? Or Papa, whatever it was. So in this case, Jane's nickname for Diddy, Lamb Chop. Lamb Chop. All right? That's what she called him in the messages, Lamb Chop. It's, I guess, sweet, definitely strange. And it's one more reminder of just how complicated and conflicting this entire relationship was, because she's now testifying about coercion, fear, and emotional manipulation. In these texts, she's expressing love, gratitude, and devotion, even referring to him like a partner, even though, according to her, Diddy hated being called that. Right? This is exactly the kind of evidence that the defense wants in front of the jury to help their case. It paints a very different picture, and they're counting on jurors to ask, how can both of these things be true? Right? Now, Jane says that the longest hotel, we're getting into hotel nights again, by the way. Sure, nobody's surprised. The longest hotel night she experienced with Diddy lasted 3 days, around New Year's 2022. According to her, it involved 3 different men and left her feeling completely used. She told the court that she considered breaking up with him after that. And once she saw on social media that Diddy had gone on vacation with another woman, Gina, it pushed her over the edge. During cross, Diddy attorney Tini Garrigos brought it up. Wasn't she upset about the Gina trip? That's when she showed the jury text message that Jane sent to him, and it read, "It's not right how you're treating me right now. We had such an amazing New Year's Eve, and the last thing I expect is you coming at me sideways, speaking to me about another female. You completely had your way and more with me New Year's Eve week, ignoring us for days, chose where your cares, and it's not for me. Cold. We had been so good." She then read another text from that time out loud saying, "You have me feeling so taken advantage of and regretting everything." And that line hit hard because she's not just talking about being ignored. She's talking about what happened during those 3 days and how it made her feel in the aftermath. The defense is trying to frame this as jealousy, but Jane's message kind of suggests something a little bit deeper. That's even when she was sending loving texts that she was hurting. And that hurt was directly tied to how these so-called freak offs or hotel nights went down. Real quick, I want to talk about something. When we've talked about this a few times, my wife and I were talking about it today because there's some stuff that came up about like erection pills and whatnot. And my wife is only following this kind of closely because she just doesn't care, guys. She just doesn't not that much. So she hears about it when I talk about it, and that's kind of what's been said. Now, all of that being said, how the hell did Diddy get anything done? He's got like a minimum freak off lasted 12 hours. We've learned that minimum up to 3 nights in some cases. Lots of things. This man is recording music. He is signing artists. He is producing. He's got the alcohol brand. He's got Sean John. He's got Revolt TV. All of these things. And like, he's got a sex drive. A very deviant sex drive nonetheless, but good God, y'all. This many out, like who has time for all of that? Like, I can't do this stuff in a day, like all the stuff that he does, much less take 3 days. I wouldn't have the stamina. Ain't no shame in my game, y'all. I would not have the stamina to last 12 hours, much less 3 days. Hell, half that, probably half of that on a good day, right? And he was still able to accomplish all of this stuff. Like, just my God, if he wasn't such a deviant and if stuff was actually consensual, it would be impressive. But it's not consensual, as we're learning. It was forced, it was coerced, and so it's not impressive. It's just him being an asshole, right? But nevertheless, yes, I did a lot of, cocaine's a hell of a drug, Rick James, you know. All right, Charlie Murphy. Anyways, let's get back to this, okay? In court, Jane opened up about a breaking point in her relationship in the moment she first used a hotel night as leverage. It was early 2022, right around her birthday, when she said Diddy spent the day with her and then turned around and jetted off on vacation with someone else, Caresha Brownlee, a.k.a. Young Miami. Jane told the jury that it was heartbreaking to see photos of the two of them on a yacht celebrating her birthday, Caresha's birthday, just days after Jane. She was home alone, watching it unfold online. That's when she picked up the phone and FaceTimed him, telling him, "If you don't come here now, we're not going to do anything you want to do." She told the court that was the first time she pulled the hotel night card, using the promise of a freak off to pressure her into leaving a trip early. Her exact words, "If you don't get your ass out that island, we're not going to have a party." Now, defense attorney Tini Garrigos brought up this moment again on cross. "You told him you wouldn't get to have a Valentine's Day party." Jane said yes and confirmed that was the first time I pulled that card. And she clarified, the hotel night card? Yes. And it worked. Combs came home early. Jane said that she immediately planned a Valentine's Day hotel night. She decorated the room with rose petals for the first time ever, arranged for 2 entertainers. Men paid to participate in the encounter. She admitted that it was her idea and that it was the first time she had ever organized a double setup like that. This was a critical moment for defense because they're using it to show that Jane wasn't just being coerced, that she was initiating things, that she was capable of strategizing, manipulating, and turning freak-offs into emotional currency when she felt hurt or replaced. But the prosecution is leaning into something else, which is that emotional duress and power imbalance can still be at play even when somebody appears to be participating willingly. And just a few weeks later, the emotional fallout continued, right? In March of 22, Jane said that Diddy had just made her delete a photo from social media, just a post of food that hinted that they were together. Then she saw Gina, which is another woman you guys know linked to Diddy, post a photo wearing a Cartier love necklace that matched the love bracelet Jane said she had picked out for herself as a gift from him. So basically, this is what happened. He asked her what she wants as a gift. She picks out a Cartier love bracelet. And Diddy then gives a matching necklace to Gina, and she sees this online. This set her off. In the messages that were shown to the jury, Jane told Diddy, have her delete all that shit like you made me delete all those food posts. To see these things were deeply hurtful to me. It wasn't just jealousy, it was the secrecy, the erasure. Jane was being told to stay hidden, scrub her digital trail, pretend like none of it existed, while other women got to post their gifts, their presents, their connection to him. She told Diddy that the situation was giving her anxiety, and to the jury, it was clear it wasn't about just romance or relations, sex. It was about being visible, being chosen, being treated like she actually mattered, not somebody being hidden out in the wings. This is just another moment the prosecution hopes will land, not because there was violence in that interaction, but because there was emotional control, public betrayal, and private relationships, partnerships, and a constant push to stay silent while others got to be seen. Now, real quick, guys, we're halfway through this, we have a lot of people on Insta, we have a lot of people here on TikTok. I don't know how many on Facebook, I can't see that. But nevertheless, if you are coming in late on this, this is saved onto the Sean Diddy Combs playlist on YouTube. You can go back and watch it anytime. You can go to YouTube right now and watch it from the beginning. So just know that this stuff is here. You guys can go watch if you come in late and like, man, I missed it. It's still there. You can go check it out. Then, getting back to this, the jury heard a series of emotional and explicit text messages between Jane and Sean Diddy Combs, messages that the defense says show that she was a willing participant in the hotel nights, but that Jane needed to be seen but that Jane says need to be seen in a different light. So let's rewind to July 2022. Jane read aloud messages where Combs suggested bringing in an entertainer for another hotel night. He texted her to call a specific man and added, or Paul is free. Paul, according to Jane, was a regular, one of the male escorts Combs frequently hired. Jane said she understood that message as being given an option between two men, not the choice to skip the freak off altogether. She liked the message about Paul. In the follow-up text, Combs sent her details about the time and location, ending with, is that cool? Jane went along with it, and the next day she texted Diddy, last night was amazing. More messages from about a week later told a similar story. Combs offered her a choice again, Paul or another entertainer. Jane pushed back, saying that she was kind of icked out by the other guy because of a visible boo-boo. Combs agreed, calling him a no-go, and they moved forward with Paul. Jane testified that it always felt like she was choosing between options, not that opting out was really ever on the table. I want to talk about that real quick. Any of you guys have kids, right? I know a lot of y'all have kids. You don't have to answer this. I know a lot of y'all have kids. When your kids were young and you want them to feel like they have a sense of control, but you want them to do something, what do you tell them to do, right? You give them two options. You can eat your broccoli first, or you can eat whatever first. You eat your noodles or your broccoli first. Which one do you want to do? You can get dressed for bed first, or you can brush your teeth first. You have to do both of them, right? You're treating them you're making it act like they have a choice, whereas they don't. Francis Meza Hartley, sorry if I'm saying anything wrong, on Insta just asked a very interesting question, which was curious, do they ever wear protection? Do they say they do? In a earlier testimony, I think last week, Diddy would not let them wear protection. Refused, would get angry if she asked for a condom. So that's the answer to that. But anyway, so that's kind of what it feels like is going on here, right? That you have this situation where she's being given the illusion of control, right? She's being given the illusion of control, but she doesn't really have control. Anyways. She also but opting out's not an option. Like my kid, she's got to get her pajamas on. She's got to brush her teeth. She can't opt out of either of those. She has to do them. That's part of her bedtime routine. She has no choice. So Diddy giving her, I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but Diddy giving her those options is basically the same type of scenario. And he was treating her like a child and making her feel like she's got some sense of control, which is what you do to your toddlers. So she also confirmed that after the late July hotel night, she spent several days alone with Combs, just the two of them, and that another hotel night happened at her home on August 30th. After that one, Jane sent a text message that read, "That was so much fun, baby." Then a longer message poured out, "My love for you is unconditional and for life." In court, she confirmed that those texts were real, but insisted the emotions she expressed were directed at Diddy, not the acts themselves. She said she loved him, not the experiences of the hotel nights. She loved him. She wanted to be with him. And the hotel nights were basically just a way for her to have time with him. Right? So, still defense didn't let up. they point out a message sent after one of the freak offs where Jane said, "I had a great time with you too." That particular encounter involved Jane sleeping with a male escort in front of Diddy while he watched and um, self-gratified. To the defense, that message was ammunition, proof that Jane enjoyed, even cherished those encounters. But Jane pushed back in her testimony, saying what was happening on the outside did not reflect how she truly felt. And then came a disturbing detail. Jane testified that she eventually started buying erection pills, specifically rhino pills, for the escort. She explained she didn't enjoy having to wind these guys up and wait for them to get aroused, so she used the pills to speed things up to just get it over with. She says, quote, "I did not have fun having to wait for them to be erect." To her, these weren't sexy, fun nights. They were orchestrated performances, exhausting, repetitive, and hollow. And behind the glowing text, Jane says, was somebody just trying to survive, right? Then in February 2023, Jane, still in the relationship, still texting Diddy, still trying to get his attention. But at this time, she wasn't asking for a hotel night. She was asking for something normal, something romantic, something public. She testified that for her birthday that year, she texted Diddy asking for $1,500, enough to buy an outfit and cover dinner for her and her friends. She confirmed that he sent the money and paid for the dinner. Later, man, I want somebody to send me $15,000 for dinner and an outfit. What the fuck, guys? Damn, a lot of money. Like, I know in this world, like, somebody like Diddy, $1,500 is like me giving you $20, but Jesus, it's a lot of money to spend on that. Anyways, I digress. Later, Jane flew down to Miami, trying to celebrate with him in person. But even then, she said she was trying to shift the dynamic, trying to get away from the hotel room routine. In text, she asked if Nobu, it was somebody asking to clarify, 15,000. If I said 1,500, I'm tired. I'm sorry. $15,000, not 1,500, 15,000, 3 zeros. That's my mistake if I misspoke. Sorry, y'all. 15,000 to clarify. In text, she asked Diddy if Nobu, the high-end sushi spot inside the hotel, was the only option, if they could go somewhere else. She said, "I'm asking if he could please romance me outside of hotel rooms." She wasn't just asking for dinner. She was asking to be treated like a girlfriend, not an escort, not a worker, not some hollow object for his gratification. The jury saw photos of the two eating at Nobu, which confirmed that they did at least go out that night, but it was in the hotel. But Jane's testimony made it clear the physical setting may have changed, but the emotional reality hadn't. Even at a luxury restaurant, she still felt confined, still trapped in a dynamic where the most she could hope for was a change of scenery. Then Jane told the jury that there was a stretch in spring of 2022 where she and Diddy didn't have a hotel night for nearly 2 months, even though they were still spending time together regularly. Then on June 19th, Diddy suggested they pick things back up again. He texted her about having yet another hotel night. What did Jane say? Not really in the mood for that part. Don't want to make you mad. That last line, don't want to make you mad, stands out. It signals fear. Even while saying no, she's bracing for a negative reaction, right? Because you never know what version of Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, that you're going to get. Are you going to get the one that's going to put you in a chokehold and lift you up off your feet while doing that? Are you going to get the one that's going to dangle you over a balcony? Or are you going to get the one that beats the ever-loving shit out of you because you said something? Or are you going to get the nice one? Well, in this case, he replied saying, all good. But suggested that instead, if they're not going to do that, let's do a role play scenario. Jane said they ended up having what Diddy called a movie night, watching past hotel night footage, so still watching the freak-offs with adult content, along with adult content, together. That was another example the prosecution pointed to, a moment where Jane didn't want to participate, voiced the discomfort, but still wound up back in the same world. Maybe not with strangers in a hotel room, but reliving it all on a screen. Right? Then by February of 2023, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but that's kind of how this works. By February 23, Jane was still with Sean Diddy Combs and still hoping for affection, still caught in a relationship that, in her words, gave her very few choices. She testified that after her birthday dinner that year, Diddy told her that he had entertainment plan. Jane said she didn't object because by that point, she'd learned to just go along with it. That's just part of what I do. Quote, my circumstances were my options in this relationship. If I see him, there's a request for a hotel night. So I'm just adapting to my circumstances. I'm adapting to my environment. She admitted that, yes, there were moments she suggested and organized things like hotel nights, but she said that was happening under the pressures of being his lover. That night after dinner, Combs gave Jane an expensive Van Cleef necklace and a bracelet. A photo of her wearing the jewelry was shown in court, and Tanny Garagos suggested that she looked thrilled, even euphoric. Jane said in that moment she had just taken an ecstasy pill, so of course you're going to look euphoric, right? And was waiting for an entertainer to arrive. Any type of affection at this point in my life that I received from Sean, I received with open arms. I was happy to be wrapped up in my lover's arm. But then we hear what paints a darker picture because everything with Diddy, even in the light times, turns into a darker picture. But during that same birthday, she had, again, relations with 3 entertainers and with Diddy himself. She later sent him a message saying that she loved and appreciated every detail that you put into my birthday. In the court, she clarified the message referred to the gifts and the time alone, not the rest of it. Then came the gut punch. Jane found out that right after celebrating with her, Diddy flew to Turks and Caicos with another woman to celebrate her birthday. We talked about this a little bit earlier. She said, I was hurt after being made to have sex with 3 guys. It was equally hurtful and emotional to me to see him with another woman on a beautiful vacation, whereas I'm alone recovering from having to sleep with 3 men that I didn't want to sleep with. She then told the jury that after this double birthday blew up, she and Combs broke up for several weeks, but it didn't last. She said every time she pushed back or challenged him, Diddy would threaten to end things, but within a week, he'd be blowing up her phone again. It wasn't just about sex or gifts or jealousy. This is painting a picture of a woman caught in a cycle, a vicious, endless cycle that's manipulated by power and addicted to validation and too entangled to walk away without breaking herself in the process. That's what you're dealing with here. You're dealing with somebody who is emotionally broken and stunted, largely at the hands of Diddy. That her validation is coming from this man. She loves this man. She still to this day loves this man. She would get back to him in a heartbeat, despite everything she's gone through. It's like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. I mean, it really is. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because I know there's people who believe different things. I've seen women even say some pretty horrific things. I'm going to talk about that toward the end of this. But for now, let's continue on. So in March of 23, things between Jane and Sean were on shaky ground. In text messages that were shown to the jury, Diddy apologized for lying, telling her, I didn't know I was going to lose one of my closest friends over a stupid lie. Jane responded by saying she was open as friends, and when Diddy offered her to get a hotel room, she pushed back. He replied bluntly, you said friends. But the conversation shifted, and soon they were planning a trip to Turks and Caicos to reconcile. Then Tanny Garagos told the jury that Diddy spent $55,000 on that trip. When asked if that figure sounded right, she said, yeah, I guess. She had previously testified that this was meant to be a makeup trip, a chance to reconnect. She even texted Combs, I just want us. But that trip, like so many others, didn't end in intimacy or healing. It ended. Guess what it ended up with, guys? You know? You know what it ended in? Bet you do. What? Another hotel night, right? Another male entertainer. This time it was Paul, again, the same escort who appeared in earlier encounters. And then, as Cross continued, Garagos pulled up a message Jane sent to Sly, who was another frequent entertainer we've talked about, that they'd used before. And that message said, would you be able to come to Turks by any chance? You would need a passport and I think a vaccination card. Let me know what you think. She sent it, but testified, I believe my lover wanted me to send a message to Sly to invite him on the trip. So she reached out, not because she wanted to, but because she thought Diddy expected it. She then also testified that Paul did join them in the Turks and that Sly met up with her and Combs back in Miami after the trip. Why? Because she said she believed she had ruined the hotel night with Paul and Turks, and that meant making up for it with Sly afterwards. What started as what was supposed to be an apology trip, a reconciliation trip, a chance to salvage their relationship, ended up in the same way that so many stories in this trial have ended up with. Control, sex work, emotional manipulation, all described under the veil of luxury. All right. By April of 23, Jane had moved into an LA home, one that the $10,000, this is the one that Diddy's paying for, $10,000 a month rent. She testified that the arrangements were part of a 2-year love contract, the contract we've heard about so many times, that they agreed to after that Turks trip the previous month. In court, Jane grew emotional as she read a text she sent to Combs around the time she moved in. She actually had to pause and grab a tissue before she could continue, wiping her face, saying, the fact that you are the reason for my child's joy is a feeling inside me. We talked about this line earlier, but we're getting more detail about it. The fact that you are the reason for my child's joy is a feeling inside me I can't explain. I love you so much as my friend, my lover, my boyfriend, even though you don't like that word. Jane composed herself, finished reading the text message out loud to the jury, And it wasn't the only emotional moment. She later testified in June of 23. She took care of Diddy while he recovered from surgery. There were no hotel nights that month, just caretaking and time spent together. Then in early July, they had another hotel night. The next day, Jane sent another heartfelt message saying how much she loved him and cherished their time together. As the text was read in court, Jane once again dabbed her eyes with a tissue. It was clever. No matter the trauma she described elsewhere, this was a woman who still craved love, validation, and tenderness from the man that she said hurts her the most. The courtroom kind of paused as Garagos asked to approach the bench, but not before the jury saw the vulnerability for themselves. By August of 23, she was still trying to hold boundaries, still struggling to keep them. She testified that after seeing Diddy talk in a podcast about having 48 hours of sex with another woman, she was angry and threatened to not go visit him in New York. But after some convincing, she changed her mind, thinking there would be no hotel night this time. Mid-flight, Combs texted her a link to an online profile for an entertainer he wanted to hire for that trip. Jane responded with a thumbs up emoji, something that became a point of contention in court. She just explained to the jury, I was just confirming I saw the link. A thumbs up can also be a little bit sarcastic. 100%. And for those of y'all who are millennials, if your boss or whatever just sends you a thumbs up or whatever, it's like such a stressful, like, I don't know if anybody else is related. Maybe it's just me. Like before I worked for myself, when I had a boss that would send me a thumbs up in response, I'd be like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Right. So I'm just saying for people who are in that situation, you might know what I'm talking about her. So anyways, Jen's like, yep, a lot of y'all, it's very nerve-wracking, right? Somebody said 48 minutes. I said 48 hours, not 48 minutes, Miguel, 48 hours. 48 hours. Anyways, just confirming she saw the leak, said it could be sarcastic, right? She admitted that she and Combs did end up having a hotel night in New York, and in the days that followed, she sent him a message saying, I actually want to apologize for the list of things I was saying were making me unhappy. There's no longer a list of sweet things you do. There's a longer list of sweet things that you do for me. Jane testified that she sometimes agreed to hotel nights because she believed they brought Combs peace. That came into a sharper focus on Miguel. Just for the record, I wasn't picking on you. 48 minutes is much more reasonable in my opinion than 48 hours. 48 hours is insane. We talked about it earlier. I don't know how I mean, yes, we do because of substances, but my God, that stamina. It's again, if it wasn't so effed up, it would be impressive. Anyways, Jane testified that she sometimes agreed to hotels because she believed they brought him peace. That came into a sharper focus during October 23, where she testified about Combs' ongoing relationship with Gina, who we've talked about many times, a woman that Jane says brought constant drama into the picture. When she confronted him about it, Combs texted, girl, stop. You know I don't feed into this. I need you. You're the only thing that's going to put me at peace, please. Right? When defense attorney Tenny Garagos asked her if she believed hotel nights brought him peace, she said yes. And yes, she admitted that belief was part of why she kept going along with them. And then came the night she called the sobriety party. She testified earlier that this was one of the 2 times she tried to not use substances during a hotel night. It happened at a hotel in Beverly Hills. She said Diddy had agreed to go sober for 30 days, but wanted one last bender first. That party, she said, was 12 to 18 hours, a hotel night, which she stayed sober, but Diddy used ecstasy and cocaine. When Garagos asked if she agreed to that night, Jane said, unfortunately, yes. Saying that she had in fact agreed, Jane pushed back. I resent him for knowing how much I loved him and how I couldn't say no to him. When Garagos asked if she regretted it, Jane said, I believe resent and regret lie in the same feelings. It's a great line. It's a great way of putting that. The next day, she said that she was depressed. She tried to break up with him, but ended up back at his house that night. The cycle, guys. It's the cycle. The jury was shown a video taken from that night. In it, Jane and Combs are sitting together laughing in the video. He tells her, I was in a dark hole and you came here to save me, and I appreciate that. Jane says, you did some saving on me that I didn't even know. So while the courtroom testimony painted a picture of manipulation, trauma, and control, the video showed something else, which is 2 people clinging to each other in moments of pain, chaos, and intimacy. And we're going to come back to that in a minute. Whether that moment was a real connection or more an emotional entrapment, that's for the jury to ultimately decide. And personally, I think it's more The latter, emotional entrapment, because again, we've talked about this multiple times. When you are in a relationship with an abusive person, you do whatever you have to do. You say whatever you have to say, keep the peace, right? You say whatever you have to say to keep the peace because you don't want to fight. You get exhausted. You get tired. You don't want to get beaten. You don't want to get berated. So you just say what you have to do, keep the peace, right? Anyways, let's just hope some of the jurors have been in relationships like this and they understand what we're talking about here with manipulation and coercion. Now, from this point, jury was dismissed. They started late today, by the way. But before we pick up where things are leaving off today, tomorrow, let's talk about why Jane's testimony actually matters and why people are calling it a copycat testimony. People who are calling it a copycat testimony are kind of missing the point entirely, right? So what we're seeing here is real corroboration between Jane and Cassie Ventura, right? Very similar testimonies. The language, the patterns, the emotional contradictions, they line up. They both talked about hotel nights or freak-offs. Both described the pressure to organize them, the emotional damage, the push and pull dynamic with Diddy. That's not coincidence, guys. That's a pattern. Now, there are people out there saying, because I've seen it, she's a hoe. She just wants money. She's just after his money. She's a hoe. She's a worker. She's a prostitute. That's all she cares about. Sounds just like Cassie's lawsuit. She read it and copied it. Let's break that down a little bit. Why would Jane lie? She's made it abundantly crystal clear that she does not want to be there. She does not want to be there. She's not suing Diddy. She has no civil cases pending against him. She testified that she has no plans to file a civil case against him. She's testifying under federal subpoena. She's not chasing headlines. She wants her name out of it. She's not cashing in on it. And let's be real. Diddy is still paying her rent. Diddy is still paying for her lawyers. She lives in a home that he covers through a $10,000 a month love contract. So again, what exactly would she gain by lying about him in open court? If anything, she's risking everything because this is federal court. It's not a gossip blog. If she lies under oath, that is perjury. That's prison, especially when you come to committing perjury in a federal trial. And for what? To back up someone else's lawsuit she's not even part of? No, absolutely not. The reason Jane's story sounds like Cassie's is because it is. Because abuse leaves patterns. Because coercion, control, and manipulation play out the same way when the same man is at the center. Jane sent love texts saying she missed him. She expressed affection even after nights she's now describing as traumatic. And people are using that to try to discredit her. But here's the truth. Victims don't always cut ties cleanly. Sometimes they stay. Sometimes they cling to hope, to affection, to whatever part of the person that they once loved. That doesn't make her story less believable. It makes it more human. She's not perfect. She's not trying to be. She's not asking for money. She's definitely not asking for fame. In fact, she's asking for the complete opposite of fame, which is why they're concealing her. She's trying to explain what it's like to survive something like this and to still love someone who hurt you and to testify against them anyways, who love them, who've been hurt by them, to still love them despite that, and to still testify against them. So before people write her off, ask yourself, why would she go through this? Why would she risk everything just to say what she lived through? And with that, courtroom's quiet. Jane will return to stand tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, which I guess is technically today, in 2 time zones. As cross-examine continues, 2 time zones in America. Let me clarify because it doesn't matter. Diddy Garagos told the court she expects to finish her questioning tomorrow. Maureen Comey says there's 2 more witnesses that are going to follow, expected to take most of the day. A summary witness will also testify. After this, we have some light at the end of the tunnel. Government says that they're cutting from some names from their witness list and sorting out travel logistics for a final few. They expect to rest their case as early as next Wednesday or next Friday by the latest. And you guys already know I'll be here covering every second of it. Of course, make sure to follow, turn notifications on. And again, I'm going to say this again for people who came in late. If you are here, if you found any of this interesting, if you just feel pity for me and want to help me grow my channels, hit that follow button. It's something free and easy that you guys can do that helps me out absolutely tremendously. The other thing I would say for my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok peeps, and of course YouTube, you guys probably know this. If you are coming in late, there is a Sean Diddy Combs playlist. You can go watch this or any previous recap that we do every single day of the Diddy trial that we have done every single day since it started. You can go watch any of those recaps on that Sean Diddy Combs playlist at any point in time. So if you came in late, you can go back and watch it as well. Now, with all that said, you guys have a great night. We will be back tomorrow with the same updates. And I appreciate every one of y'all. Bye, guys.